Hello, my name is Bill, and I'm going to be putting a series of videos together to address some trends that I've been seeing on YouTube. This first video is going to be just about me and kind of laying a foundation for this multi-part video series. Let's start with who I am. All my life, I've loved science. I grew up in a Catholic family, went to Catholic school for 8 years. But one of the highlights of my childhood was one day when my dad called me out of school for a day. And at the time, I didn't know why. But what grade school kid wouldn't want a day out of school? So we were driving and we ended up at some stranger's house, no place I'd ever been before. But I found out pretty quickly why he pulled me out of school. I didn't know it yet, but I had arrived at the childhood home of astronaut Eugene Cernan. And there he was in the flesh, a real-life astronaut. It turns out my dad answered a newspaper ad for an estate sale. He purchased his mom's 1963 Buick LeSabre, a chain engine hoist, and some other things I don't remember. I also got my picture with Eugene Cernan. And as a kid who loved science, it was one of the absolute highlights of my life. And in fact, it's a day I will never forget. In high school, I was unofficially voted the biggest computer genius. When I was in my late teens and early 20s, I was a typical nerdy person, staying up all hours of the night. I was learning MS-DOS and hopping around bulletin boards because, wow, I had a 2400 BPS modem. But it was also at this age that I really lost interest in the church. When I graduated 8th grade, I stopped attending any church and any type of religious activities. But I still really liked science. After graduating high school, I enrolled in a community college where I took a COBOL and astronomy course. Shortly after this, my community college went on strike. It was at this time that I realized that only I had the ability to control my destiny and my career. I had to make some very deliberate choices to forge ahead with my career. I was offered a job in my high school data center, working second shift, running reports, delivering things between the campus, and general stuff like that. I devoted myself to learning everything I could about the job. In between tasks, I was playing with COBOL and the very brief amount of education that I had before the college strike. It was only later in life, by sheer coincidence, that I found out that my boss was actually a friend of the woman that would become my wife. I remember walking into a family gathering before we were married, and there he was, and the shocked look that I had on my face at the sight of seeing him there. However, here I am in my early 20s. I still had no interest in the church, even though I had gone to Catholic grade school for 8 years. I had spent most of my life hanging around people older than me because I just wasn't interested in causing problems, for the most part. I was bullied as a kid, picked on by classmates. I'll tell you though, my shining moment of childhood wisdom was vandalizing the church that my family attended. I got caught by the priest, but it taught me a lesson. In my later adult years, with an established career in IT at both a technical and management level, I enjoy many aspects now of social media, whether it's independent musicians, educational videos, and the like. I love learning new things. I'll give a quick shout out to some of the channels that I follow. Godless Engineer, Simon Dan, Conspiracy Cats, Professor Dave, Professor Stick, Bob the Science Guy. These are all people that, in my opinion, release quality science content, and I find their material very educational and very engaging. Where I am now is in my later adult years. I was involved with our kids' education, where I volunteered with the FBLA chapter. I currently serve on the advisory board for a vocational school, and I volunteered some time with my son's high school astronomy class and shared with them some of my astrophotography pictures. I dabble in photography and have a lot of fun with it. But after watching all these science videos and after having found my faith again when I was 24, I look at the landscape of some of the social media things that are out there, and I find myself very frustrated by the evangelical Christian community. And this is primarily what this video series is going to be geared toward. I am really struggling in my patience with the evangelical Christian community that attempts to use the Bible to push their scientific agenda, and they continue to push the Bible to force their belief systems into it. The series I'm going to put together here will... Sorry, that was my Siri.